Well, hello. Voice check 25,000 by 5. Check. My mic was not working. I got it working now. What is going on, everybody? Welcome in. Welcome back to another V1 live stream coming at you from the North Texas V1 HQ. Just admiring the beautiful texture and modeling work here on the upcoming A321 from What? Oh, no, no, we're not flying that today. Let's go. There she is. Look at that girl right there. Goodness me. Yeah, we don't need that Minecraft bird. We don't need that. We got the Fenix in the house using a 321 CFM. Man, I don't like CFMs at all, but we're going to give them a shot today. All the CFM fans in chat, this is your day to shine. I will tell you, I do like the sound differences in the CFM. I like how they've really nailed the sounds down in the CFM. So there she is. I don't know why the engine blades are brown. They're probably rusting because no one uses CFMs except Land Chile. So we're going to use these puppies today. They do look good. I mean, I got to say, the modeling on the Fenix, top notch, no matter which engine you prefer. I just prefer the little bigger ones, you know what I'm saying? But we'll give it a shot today. I've done the pre-flight walk around. We've walked around. Everything looks good. All the chocks and covers, all the cones have been removed. Chocks are still in place. We're going to keep those there. All the static ports look good. We're going to hop back up here into the Flighttek in just a minute and get on to Balmaceda. I can't remember how to say it. I know we've been there one other time. The rain stopped, so go figure. We're going to go ahead and just fly in no rain right now, but hopefully maybe some rain will cross our path today as we head up to Balmaceda? I'm not sure. SCBA. It's in the description for all those that don't like it when I don't put it in the description. It's in the actual title, rather. So, coating of dust, that is. Yeah, IE supremacy. I agree. So, thank you all. We are on Iveo Premium. I deleted all my model matching from FSLTL because it's not officially compatible. So I got rid of all that stuff. So I'm just running default the Zobo aircraft, I guess, the default rules. So that's what we got going on with the Iveo Premium. So let's hop into the flight deck here. Now, I've made an adjustment to my seat, and I don't think I like it. Give me a second. Too low. So I was trying to adjust my armrest here. Okay, that feels better. All right, that feels better. Here we go. Are y'all ready for this? CFM, Canada freaking motor. I know, man. Well, I mean, they have their place. You know, the CFMs have their place, and this is their day to shine. So if you wanted to see it, let's go ahead and have ourselves a day. I do have mini FCU running. I do have our AB9 Moza Base running, and this is going to be a fun little flight. We haven't been in the 321 in a couple streams, about a week actually. So what's nice about this is we've been doing a lot of GA flying in 2024, and to me it's time now for us to get back in the old tube liner. So let's fire this bird up. Let's make sure we have sim sounds. I have sim sounds. Do you have sim sounds? Let me turn your sim sounds up. Hold on, I've got 74 Microsoft Flight Simulator volumes to adjust. There we go. Boom. Here we go. Now she's coming to life. Canadian, it's probably because it's midday. Some Patagonia trips. I love it. I love flying down here, Javier. I was talking with another bus pilot recently. He said he liked the CFMs more. I was kind of shocked. Well, I mean, they start quicker. You've got that going for you. My mic is driving me nuts. It's at an angle here. Hold on. What's going on with this? Hold on. Technical difficulties. I'm going to have to get myself a better mic stand. I guess that'll have to work for now. Hopefully that sounds all right. All right, we're juicing up. I was on ready reserve and someone called in sick. The largest U.S. carriers fly CFM, so there must be something there. Well, they also have more IAEs than they do CFM, so there's also that. CFM advantage starts faster. That's where all the advantages end, my friend. That's where all the advantages end. All right, let's go ahead and get the crew supply auction on, ground control on. We'll go ahead and put this into Captain Pers. We'll do a CVR test now the FWC is fired up. Boom. Let's go ahead and get our 1, 2, and 3 up and running on our ADIRS panel. That looks good. Not violating any NDAs today, so that's always a good thing. We'll get nav position 1. No smoking. Comes auto. Arm the emergency exit lights. Everything looks good here. We got 4 fault lights. All the white lights out. Fuel test, or fire test rather. the better. I mean, I like the ingenuity of the flower petal reversers. I really do. I like the ingenuity behind that. But the problem for me is they look too short and like they just look bad. They look short. They're chopped off. You need that cigar tube out there. Big ol' eye. Bigger is better. All right. Bigger is better. I don't care what anybody says. Let's come down here. We'll clear this sucker out because it's a flight control fault, which is not really a fault because my side stick is absolutely perfectly juiced up. There we are. CFM 56.5B3 engines today. We got a current nav database. We're doing a NIT request there. We'll do status recall real quick just to make sure that's normal. Autopilot, auto thrust, left side stick is not normal, but it's normal for this aircraft. We'll come down here. No auto ATC squawk code. We'll leave it at 2000. That all looks good. We'll put this into VOR mode, constraints on Magic Barrel ref update. Let me check Mini FCU. Yeah, Mini FCU is working, ladies and gentlemen. Got my update in there, so we're ready to rock and roll with that. Not only about how big it is, it's how you use it. Well, that's just for people that... Never mind. Catley Simmer, good afternoon, good morning. Welcome to the stream. Glad to have you on board. Captain, how much caffeine I had this morning? About 42 cups. No, not really. I've had maybe 2 cups of coffee. I got another little cup of coffee here. I was trying to organize a delivery service from Miss V1, but apparently my son is having a meltdown, so they're going to bypass the coffee delivery today, get him home for nap time. So let's go ahead and load the aircraft. Now, one thing that I did do, we'll do a 7-minute load here. One thing that happened is when I was trying to load up a certain mission in career mode, I kept getting a CTD. So I thought perhaps it was GSX causing the issue, so I uninstalled GSX, and then I realized the reason the CTD was happening is because it was trying to spawn me at a heliport. Go figure. So it wasn't GSX, but I uninstalled GSX and I didn't have time to reinstall it before today's flight. So no GSX today. I'll get it back up and running after this flight. But boarding process has commenced. Let's go ahead and set up our stuff here. We're land Chile 357, cost index 88, cruise flight level. What did we file? I always forget what we filed and I never pull it back. I'm just going to say we filed 360. How's that? 36 is set. If thrust set comes here, he can yell at us. We're going wrong direction. 7 degrees. Tropo, we don't worry about that because I don't know where to find it in the SimBrief flight plan. Let's go ahead. SAWH departure, blasting off 25. There are winds out of the west. We could do the Usu-2 Bravo, and the Usu-2 Bravo is, if we look at our charts, we'll go to our pre-pinned departure charts because Fenix thinks of everything. I'm itching to buy the Fenix, but I really don't want to drop the coin until it's supported. Ryan, well, hey, man, it's fully supported in 2020, so if you even have 2020, you'll definitely enjoy it in 2020. Now, I've been flying it, as you've seen here all week on, well, not all week, but the last couple times I flew it, we flew it on 2024 with no issues. I think I've done maybe 3 or 4 flights. We've had 0 issues so far. So for what it's worth, I'm not going to say, buy something that's not supported. I won't do that. But just from my experience, I haven't had any issues. Now, I believe I've heard some people having some issues with certain things. My biggest thing with this is I feel like people might be moving too much stuff into their community folder thinking it's going to work, and even though it may work once or twice, it's not supported and it's causing issues. I've wiped out my community folder with everything that is not designed for 2024, and knock on wood, we have been somewhat stable. We had some bugs on the A400 stream. I determined that was due to an outside air temperature causing that bug. So go figure. That was an any builds bug on the A400 that was actually causing that. It wasn't anything else. But yeah, make sure your community folder is clean. I try to run as minimal stuff in the community folder as possible. Looks like I followed to Ramiv. All right, there it is. Ushuaia 2 to Ramiv. That looks right. Ramiv is set. We'll insert you. Going up to Balmaceda, we're going to land west according to the winds that were in the forecast. Let's load up the RNAV. We'll do the RNAV a Yankee 27. And if we look at our starred charts for the arrival, so we'll come over here, SCBA, starred charts. They've already got us on the Apura 3 Alpha. RNP, Zulu, Yankee, and X-ray available. So let's take a look here. That one looks kind of boring. RNP Zulu looks way more exciting. That's what we want to fly. RNP .1, I don't know. I think we can do it. RNP X-ray is from the other direction. So if we load up the RNP Zulu from CERTA, that would be much more visibly pleasing. So we're gonna go back. We're gonna go back here. Erase that. SCBA arrival. RNAV. Now I just forgot what it was. RNAV Zulu. RNAV Yankee Zulu Niner Zulu 27, and we're gonna approach via CERTA, and I'm gonna insert that, and I'm gonna skip the star. And we're gonna take a look and see what that looks like here. We're gonna go ahead and EMER cancel the side stick fault there. Get out of my face. Let's go to plan mode, zoom it out a tad, and we'll skip through this here. So we have our departures. That looks good. Rogale, and then from Rogale, how far is it to CERTA? Perfect. We'll go Rogale, direct CERTA. We're going to skip the arrival. We'll insert that. That way we'll have a better, juicy visual experience going into Balmaceda. All right, flight plan is in the box. We'll do a quick secondary initialize. Again, we'll just throw this in here real quick in case something does happen, catastrophic. Not a whole lot of options down here at the very tip of South America. We'll do the ILS 3 to 25. Cool. Secondary perf. Basically sea level. We'll call it 200 and call it 210 in the barrel. Call it 211 in the barrel. 7 degrees. Winds are virtually nil. And Magic Barrel Ref says 30-06. Great caliber right there, loaded up. 30-06. That's not right. 30-06. Locked and loaded. All right, what do we got over here? We've got an alert box that's muted, and we got Austin Gray. Turn and burn today. Thanks for the $2 super chat, man. What do you mean, doing a turn? I don't know if we're going to do a turn or not. We'll see. I don't think we're going to be doing a turn off of this aircraft or this stream. We're doing one leg. It's going to be a little bit long. We'll have a nice, 45-minute cruise. We're going to look. We never got to finish the by the numbers blog post from Fenix, so that's what we're going to go over today in cruise. I want to actually read the rest of that. I have a Ryzen 9 with the RTX and stutters on ground while at the airport. What airplane, Felix? I've noticed. First off, make sure you turn off all of the airport ground clutter vehicles in your settings. Do that first. Ray tracing shadows, turn that off, and then make sure you're not flying an any-builds aircraft, because I have massive stutters with any-builds aircraft. I don't know what it is. The A400M has actually been okay, but the 330 and the 321 cause issues for me on the ground. Significant issues. Kyle, tonight, my man, we're taking a look at the Sky Courier, a Caravan that wanted to have 2 engines. Oh, listen to that spool up. Man, that is so dang good. I'd love to see more VA Fridays. Tyson, well, tonight is technically a VA Friday. We're going to do it a career mode Friday tonight. We're going to buy our first aircraft tonight for BS Logistics. All right, we got the Chrono on. Fueling is completed. We'll get this up here. Seatbelt sign is on. Let's come to the box. Block fuel confirmed, 18.8. We are all balanced up. So 18.8 in the block fuel. Let's come back over here, take a look at our weight and balance, which is completely loaded up now. So we'll go to ground ceviches. We'll send that to the McDo. We'll load up perf takeoff data. We're going to do 2.5. It's dry. Who's calling me? Spam call. Sync the final load sheet, sync the live weather. We'll calculate these numbers. Now, we are doing CFMs today, so we need 250 likes before we blast off so we can do a PAX off Toga takeoff. All right? So we're going to go PAX off Toga because we've got to make them sound as good as they possibly can. If not, we'll have to do a PAX on super mid CFM takeoff. So we're looking for 250 likes before departure. Up 2.9. We'll send these over to the McDo. We'll verify perf data, 47, 50, 50, flaps 2 up 0.9. That checks. Do I have a dome light on? No. All right. We'll disconnect from the external power. And we'll go back to arc mode. We'll turn fuel page off. We'll zoom the range down, turn terrain on ND. We got a minute 25. Let's briefly look at our SID, because I believe it's more than just your standard takeoff and rock and roll. Now, I keep doing that. I keep trying to close that. By doing that, I have to click on the arrow. Nope. How do I make this full screen again? There we go. All right, so it's a figure 8 for extra juice. That's what I kind of thought when we looked at it here. So departing, we're going to take off. Looks like 400 feet, a left turn, back out to intercept the 13.7, which is Ushuaia, to intercept the radial 093. And then from there, it's a right turn, I'm assuming, back around to our Ramiv departure, which you can see Ramiv. So we will hard tune a VOR today. We're going to hard tune the 13.7. So we'll go rad nav, we'll go 113.7. And if you want to be hardcore, we'll actually tune up the 093 course line. All right. So we can verify that on our ND should something fail and go wrong. Anything else we should have hard tuned? Not really important. This DME is off of the LOC DME, so if you notice 14.0 off the DME from the LOC, but off of the radial from the VOR. So you got both going on here. So we're going to put the Ushuaia, we're going to hard tune the Ushuaia DME right there. So hard tuned Ushuaia. And we also, and what we can do to cheat mode, watch this. We'll go first officer's radnav page. And on the first officer's radnav page, I'm going to hard tune. Well, it's already, yeah, that's fine. I was going to say we could hard tune the low. We could actually, I think you could cross hard tune those, right? In real life? I can't remember now. It's been months since I've flown. All right. That looks good, though. Perf data, flight plan page. I'm ready to push. Are you guys ready to push? We got 3 minutes. Let's go ahead and get the APU bleed on. We'll turn off the external power. Javier, welcome back to Commercial Pilot, my friend. Glad to have you on board. Are y'all ready? I think it's about that time. Let's go ahead and flip the beacon light on. We'll close up all the doors from the ground ceviche page. Pull the chocks. We'll close that. Disconnect. Connect the tug, please. Ushuaia traffic land, Chile 357. Getting ready to push back, stand 2. All right. What, did I not turn it on? Yeah, beacon light is on. Everything else looks good up top. GSX is dead to me, Richland. Yeah, well, not really dead. I uninstalled it because I thought it was going to have to be dead to me. But it turns out it wasn't GSX's fault, so I will give it a second chance because it wasn't its fault. Do we have any jump seaters today? Let's see. We have +3. Looks like we're taking Amir and the crew. So we'll go ahead and pop out the jump seat for Mr. Amir.
Radio check.
Loud and clear.
Bye-bye.
Ooh, we got more 321s over there. See, that actually doesn't bother me. I just wish I had liveries, but it's better than rocking traffic that's not compatible. All right, we're all connected. Are y'all ready? Let's bring up our Moza cam today. Moza and Throttletek. Rocking and rolling in tandem. We are ready to push and start. We'll go ahead and release the brakes. And off we go. I'm not sure where they're going to push me. I'm going to adjust this push. We're actually going to go tail the other direction, please, sir. Tail the other direction. This direction. Thank you. We're going to block this guy in. Need to go more to the left, please, sir. Nope. Okay, I guess he's giving up right there. We ran out of gas. We didn't pay the tug gas bill. Cockpit ground, set brakes. Brakes are set, clear, disconnect. Show me the pin out front. We're going to go ahead and start up number 2 first because we're doing everything backwards today. Today is opposite day. All right, engine bleed is on. Beacon is on. AJ's got can't hear you on comms. Not that it matters. Thank you, thank you. Let me double check. Radio check. Let me check my audio. Microphone test is not being picked up. Why is it not? Test. Let me disconnect or let me restart. Let me restart Aveo Premium. Andre Henry, I know, man. Today is the one day where everybody gets to. We got to be fair here, you know. Every 6 months we'll do a CFM stream here. Let me reconnect. My mic was giving me issues, so I'm thinking the audio. Yep, now it's working.
104 on box number 3. I'm going to start pushback. Tail to the left, nose to the right.
Radio check.
Ready for taxi.
Radio check, Gustavo.
Can't hear.
You can't hear me? Yes, he can.
Got you now.
Okay, he's got us. All right, let's go ahead and spin him up. We're ready to start. Starting engine 2. I'm gonna actually mute my mic. We did all that work to get it working. Thanks again, AJ, for the $3 bank angle check. Let's go ahead and start him up.
Text for old boomer. We take PayPal and Venmo.
I hope I turned the bleed on. What a pro pilot I am. Here we go, starting 2. This airplane's bugged. I'm never flying Fenix again.
Traffic, actually continue pushing back to left.
I don't have an ECAM that just popped up. That's a little bit disconcerting. We should probably see what's going on, monitoring the start. Get out of here with your null zones. I thought I EMER canceled you. Okay, there we go. Canceled caution. Leave me alone. You could see here, we have perfection. All right, we got a good start on number 2. Let's go ahead and start number 1. Start sounds are pretty good. I'll give it that. Mr. Saturday, no, I just deleted all my custom rules. That's all I did. I'm actually surprised there's anybody showing on traffic. Javier, I didn't try to import the scenery because that reason, you know, I said I'm not going to do anything that's not legit to 2024. Now, I do have an issue here. I need to figure this out. My speed brake bindings, my arming speed brake binding needs to be adjusted. Let's see if we can tackle this on the ground here real quick. So Bravo Quadrant, no, what are we in? It's the Throttletek Quadrant. If you have a Throttletek, this will be helpful to you. Assign keys. We're going to search by input. Toggle arm spoilers. I think I need to adjust this to be on release. So now I have speed brake. Yes. And now they're disarmed. They're armed. And now we have speed brake working. Okay, so we're disarmed. No, we're armed, and spoilers are working. So if you do have the Throttletek, and you're using the arm lever as this on the same axis, you have to reverse that binding for toggle arm spoilers. That's a crucial one. I've gotten questions before in the past. I hope that helps somebody out because I remember somebody asked me, and I don't remember who it was. And I finally got to it 6 months later. We're doing a flap 2 takeoff, Godspeed. A 24 compatible version of SAWH came out today? Of course it did, Logo Lights. Of course it did. Alright, we are ready to taxi, but our ramp is completely blocked. I'll sneak out first. We shy of traffic. Land Chile 357, taxi on 27. Alright, we are ready to taxi. Let's go. Ushuaia. Taxi lights coming off. We're going to see if we can't cut in front of these two aircraft up here. So brakes released. 321 party here at Ushuaia. Okay, now I mean, that sounds like real life, y'all. Oh my gosh. Those are some of the best sounds I've ever heard in Flight Sim. I think it's because living in Atlanta for a year, I flew on almost nothing but CFM 321s, and that is exactly what it sounds like. That is 100% realistic. Ushuaia. Okay, Javier. Ushuaia. Thanks, man. That sounds... I could do that all day. That CFM sound... That CFM sounds so good. I'd wager to say I almost like the sound better on that than I do on an IE. That's doesn't change my opinion about the what I like. I still prefer IEs 100%, but that is pretty wildly good. Look at that wing wobble out there as we're taxiing out. Where's this guy going? And traffic there. Are you waiting for us? I don't know what you are. I only have generic model matching.
Yeah, I'm waiting for you.
Okay, copy that. Thanks. Ushuaia traffic, land Chile 357, back taxi 25.
Ushuaia traffic, 104 will follow taxi from 1028 to holding short of runway 25. 104.
Javier, I had it. So here's the thing, Javier. I had it running in. I had it running on the last stream we did in the A400, but I thought that that's what caused my issues. So I uninstalled it all. It all became dead to me. But then I realized that it wasn't FSLTL. It was indeed the IndyBuilds A400M has a known bug with the power levers. So, you know, I'm quick to make things dead to me, and I deleted all of them. I'll have to reinstall them because I did have them working for a couple flights, but as soon as I had issues, I said I'm done with all y'all. What we need is some of this rain to come back onto the field here. All right, as we're back taxiing, we'll go ahead and do a full flight control check. And then I'll show you guys this awesome binding that we have for the nose wheel tiller disconnect if you haven't seen it already. So flight controls, here we go. Full up, full down, neutral, full left, full right, neutral. Watch this. Rudder, full left, full right, neutral. Not a single movement. Watch this. I'll get on the center line here. And it's not, it used, in 2020 for some reason, it used to still move. I'm going to press my pedal disconnect. I have rudder as necessary and the airplane is rock solid, just like the real thing. So the binding for that is set nose wheel steering to limit. You want to bind that. I messed up the joystick cam. I sure did. That's because I got a hoodie on right now and it's my arm keeps hitting it. So I'm sorry. I raised my armrest, so hopefully I won't hit it again, but thank you. All right, that's complete. What's our pitch stream? It's supposed to be up 0.9 though, real quick. Let's do an up 0.9. All right, here we go. Auto brakes, max, takeoff config is checked. We'll come down here. We'll go auto, TARA, and on for that. All right, we're going. Let's pick up this back taxi here. Yes, Diego, this is the FSprojects stick on the Moza base. Now, it is compatible in 2024. It's just you're not going to see it in the Moza software. Guys, remind me when we get airborne. I want to go over the Moza software again real quick. There's been some updates. I want to show you the latest update, and I want to show you what is working, what's not working yet. But they are pushing out software. It almost seems like every week or two there's another update.
Hey, you mind getting your Buick down the runway a little bit?
I'm sorry, what? What is it? I'm not used to having so much taxi thrust on these wimpy.
You're gonna pay for the runway by the time, okay?
Yeah. I'm waiting for the rains to come back. I'm not used to these weak CFMs having to add thrust all the time here to taxi. What are my sensitivities on the tiller spooled up? They are for the 321. They're pre-calibrated and they work out of the box. You plug it in and you're good to go. There's no sensitivities. It's linear, but the tiller itself has its built-in calibration for the range, so it actually matches up perfectly. Let's see if I can't. Well, it'd be really hard to show you, but I've done a video. Just do exclamation point tiller. Or tiller, exclamation point, tiller video, and I go over the tiller in depth and why it's not just a straight axis that's left-right. But with the 321, you go straight linear. With the 380, you have to do a little bit of a curve, and that's actually Moby? Gosh, I'm drawing a blank on his name. The gentleman who makes the tillers for Cat 3 Design. He has a video already on his website showing what curve you need for the 380 to make it be almost perfect. So, exclamation point tiller, if you want more information on that, and you can use code STEER24, it'll save you about $60. So, I just got the Moza base a week after watching your stream. It's so good. AST Christopher, hey man, I'm so happy to hear that. Do you have the Airbus profile that's in the Discord? I'll make sure. It's kind of wild. We'll talk about it in cruise, but sometimes I don't know if they fix the downloading of profiles and installing it right away. Sometimes you still have to set your settings manually, and what I'll do is I'll post some screenshots too if I haven't already. But you want to make sure you get the if you're going to fly Airbus, make sure you get our Airbus profile. It's almost one-to-one, man. It is so realistic being able to tune the forces, because Team Vodka did a lot of work in actually tuning the force of the side stick, because it's not all the same. So just like in the real airplane, the pitch force is not the same as the roll force, and depending on which way you're rolling, it's actually a little bit different. So we've got that set up in the profile, and it makes it really, really nice. How much better is the Moza compared to the Thrustmaster magnetic base? Is it worth to upgrade? Gennady, now I used the magnetic base for a very long time. I loved it. There's nothing wrong with that base, except there are some QC issues I've heard. I was fortunate and I didn't really have any of those issues in mine. But I think it's a massive upgrade, because not only are you going to get the perfect 320 series side stick, it's going to become your base for everything else. If you only have a side stick, you can put another grip on it, you can fly helicopters, you can fly GA. You know, if you only have one peripheral and it's an AB9 base, you can really tune it into anything you want it to be. So that's why I think it's so awesome as an upgrade, because it's really universal. All right, we're going to go ahead and turn it on. Have I flown it in DCS? Not yet, Swarm. Not yet. Well, actually, no, I haven't yet. Not the Moza. Not yet. But I did hear that WAGS, a couple months ago, WAGS actually received an AB9 base from Moza, and they're working on default compatibility. So that's good to know too. I love taxiing in 2024, man. Let's see how that 180 was on the run. Look how much juice you need to taxi. These CFMs are so wimpy. Maybe that's why they're mostly in... Never mind. Alright. Usei, traffic, land Chile 357, departing runway 25. Y'all ready? Did we hit 250 likes? We did not hit 250 likes. So we're going to do packs on because y'all are super mid. So we'll spool them up 50 from inside, and then we're going to go outside view. So I got to try to make it sound as good as I can. But since y'all didn't hit 250 likes, we're doing packs on takeoff. So here we go, up 50%. Yoga. Oh yeah, she's got that growl, little deeper tone growl. Man, Toga SRS runway auto Thrustmaster would have sounded way better with packs off. 100 knots, check. Feel that crosswind just a little bit. V1, rotate. Nice and easy, nice and easy. Oh, what a beautiful rotation. Positive rate, gear up, fly with.
On the outside.
Bank angle check to the left. Here we go. They're more whooshy sounding, aren't they? Lever climb. Let's go ahead and do it from right here. It's good, but not as good as the IE on the reduction. Let's lower that nose. Get a positive trend in airspeed here. Got a little aggressive on that. We're above F speed. Flaps 1. Speed checks. Flaps 1. Tyson, no, I believe that was only part of the Ushuaia scenery. I believe that was part of the scenery package that I had in 2020. Which, if it's compatible now, we'll have to come back and try it. Because this is one of my favorite airports to fly in and out of, man. It's just so beautiful down here. What's crazy is we're doing this in literally the worst possible time. It's like midday, some mid-clouds. But we've done some sunset flights into here that have literally been breathtaking. There's S speed. Let's go ahead and be very careful with this. Let's actually double check what's our clean speed there. S200. There goes our flap retraction auto. That's good. We'll let those come up first. And now we'll go flaps 0 after takeoff checklist. So buttery smooth. I love it. All right, we're cleaning up 250 knots, 4.3 for 36 Ushuaia traffic, land trail at 357 out of 4.5 on the departure last call Ushuaia. What's our outside air temp? +4. Let's go ahead and get the engine anti-ice on. AST Christopher, nice. Good to hear it, man. Good to hear it. Sometimes I make small little tweaks, and then I repin it, the updated version. I'll bring up the Moza today so you can see the software live. Look at this breakout. Here is a 2024 breakout. Midday, this is what we're chasing. Bright white reflective clouds. Got to love this view. This is the cloud. This is what clouds look like. We're through transition. Magic Bear RF, STDs for you, me, and Turk. We're intercepting our radial. There's our rainbow. Man, gotta love it. Got to love it. I just love these breakouts in 24. It's without a doubt the clouds in 24 are superior. Jag, so far so good, man. It's running absolutely awesome. See how bright this is? It makes me want to put my sunglasses on right now. That's what it should look like. That is exactly the color palette that you want to see. Middle of the day like this. All right, we're at 10,000 feet. We'll go ahead and get these off. We'll ding the flight attendants. We'll leave the engine anti-ice on just for a little bit because it's Microsoft Flight Simulator and they simulate icing even though you're not in the clouds. So even though we're above the clouds, real life, you turn it off right now, but we're gonna let it roll just for simulator purposes here. Another couple thousand feet, get well clear. Outside air temp check is +1, so yeah, we're still kind of on the limit there. Let's go into realism mode here as we get ready to complete our climb out. Bank angle check to the right. Max says I uninstalled 2020 for good. Cannot deal with the ground physics anymore. Max, I'm right there with you, man. I'm gonna turn the sim down a bit. Hopefully is that better for y'all? We're not so whooshing. More bank angle. More bank angle. Yeah, direct and a renter. That's a great way to describe it too. I feel that same thing. In 2020, when you break out, they just kind of disappear around the aircraft where I feel like, and it's still not 100% right. I would love to see, volumetric clouding going over the wings when it's really thick, when you the wingtip is covered. When you're going through real thick clouds. But when you do the breakouts in 2020, I do feel like it's not as smooth. The transition is much better in 24. The 777 freighter's out, Turk. Nice. $55. All right. We did have a pretty enjoyable flight in the freighter yesterday. 2 days ago, rather. .330 knot, bank angle check to the right. This is where you got to be careful you don't pull back on that stick because you will feel it. We're locked in at 330 knots and a 30-degree bank. If you do any back pressure right now, it's like, oh yeah, I feel it. That's why you always want to unload the aircraft if you have to do excessive G maneuvering. Part of your unusual attitude recovery is to unload. So if you do a quick unload, roll wings level, and then unload the aircraft. What we'll do here, we'll just keep this right turn going, and we're going to direct it to, because there's traffic behind us, we don't want to make everybody fly all the way out. We'll do Uasu, we'll insert that. Our 360 is our cruise, 360 cruise is set. We'll climb nav, and we're looking good. How much will the 200 variants cost? Gabriel Rodriguez, I'm not sure. Is that what's next on the slate for PMDG? Now that the freighter is out, are they working on bringing out the non-freighter passenger 200? Which, I'll be honest with you, I will probably be picking that one up too, because that one, I feel like we can do some more flying in the States with that one. There are some 300s, but I don't know. I do like that 200 look on the triple. I love that subtle wing flex when you unload. Ooh, that was a little too aggressive. So, you know what I've noticed? I feel like they've smoothed that animation out a little bit. That looks better. I love that. Man, it's refreshing to be back in the Airbus. All right, let's go ahead and get rid of the engine anti-ice. We won't have the performance to climb up because it's a CFM. Yes, 200 Battleship Gray, Ryan. That will have to be my first. That will probably be my first 777-200 flight. Battleship Gray. All right, we'll get it on the flight directors here, and then we will settle in for our beautiful flight up to Balmaceda. Turn up the radios a little bit. Turn down the sim a little bit more. All right, we're on a straight line. We're looking good. Let's go. AP1 is engaged. Back to full screen cam. Let's go ahead and finish up our realistic cockpit preparation here. And those are all off. That all looks good. All right. sit on the jump seat here where Turk is. Get those up there. There we go. That's the view we want to see for now as we climb out. Full realism mode. Actually, wait, we're not there yet. What are we forgetting? What are we forgetting for full realism mode? Somebody tell me. We're forgetting one thing. Actually, we're forgetting two things. Max rank of 56 months of membership support appreciation, 4 months to go, and it's 5 years. What a journey, Max. Look for what you've created. Great job, awesome channel, and the best flight coaching on YouTube. Max rank, that means a lot, man. I appreciate you, good sir. Hope you're having a wonderful Friday. I hope you have a great weekend, my friend. Thank you for the support. Almost 5 years, dude. Tray table and not the coffee. Yeah, seats. Move seat back. You guys are right. So, you want realism mode? Nope. So you don't want to turn it. You want it to go right there. Right there in the crack. Right where it turns. Where maximum back positioned. Ah. Now we'll let the you have control. We're flying with a new hire. Oh, he's all the way forward. So that's about realistic. New hires fly with their seat all the way forward and the armrest down, which makes no sense to me. I always lift this armrest up.
Takeoff down 1-4, push wide in traffic.
All right. And paperwork, yeah. We're going to be reading our company manuals today, Mr. Saturday. Our company manuals are the only thing that we're going to be doing up here at Cruise. How many stream flight hours do you think I have? Whew, Jeremy, that's a great question. I don't know. I'm sure there's probably somewhere in YouTube I could find that information. I think we just eclipsed 750 videos or somewhere around there. I remember seeing 747 videos like a week or two ago. So we're definitely around that 750 video mark. It's a lot of videos. Shining your shoes in the stirrups. Well, the problem is the stirrups, sometimes they actually scuff my boots. So I do have to polish them up a little bit. I keep both armrests down and sink into my seat. Crew scheduling asks if you can continue for another leg. We'll see. We have another stream planned today too, so we got a lot to do. Once we get up here at cruise altitude, we're also going to we're going to go over some things. We're going to go over the Moza again. We're going to go over the by the numbers playbook. And we're going to see, oh, actually there is a slight change log to this. I think part of the change log, this latest version, is the flight director roll bars move a little bit slower, and actually everything looked pretty good there on departure, so I guess it looks good. Extend. Hey, do I get paid to extend though? RJ is 2020 is fully converted. Gabriel Rodriguez, is it really? Somebody posted something about that. If it is fully converted, we'll have to fly it. We'll definitely have to take the RJ out because I love me some RJ. I'm missing myself some RJ ops. Zippy, I had to close. Remember I had to restart vPilot? I don't have any messages, man. I'm sorry. I restarted vPilot for my audio. Why don't I use FS Labs? Well, I don't use P3D. I did use FS Labs. I used it extensively in FSX and P3D. Once I made the move to X-Plane, I pretty much settled on that platform. I felt that platform flew a little bit better, just a hand flying characteristic. So then P3D tapered off, and I never really touched it again. We went back and did a stream or two with it, but I don't use it in 2020 because I don't have it. It's not out yet. I'm not part of the dev team or anything like that. Am I a DFE? You mean a DPE? A DFE? What's a DFE? A DFE? A deputy flight engineer? I don't know. Whatever it is, I don't think I am one. Oh, at a flight. Oh. No. DPE, or I guess, yeah, flight examiner. You mean like a check airman? So I actually had my letter in for check airman, but then I pulled it because we were moving again, and I didn't know what was going to happen, moving house, and I didn't want to commute and do stuff like that. So I do have, not at my current company. I used to be a training captain at a previous company, but now I'm just a regular line guy. But it is something that I would like to pursue. You know, I think it's time to mix something up here. We'll see what happens. But I do love teaching, man. I've never taught on the Airbus, and I would love to. I think it's a lot of fun. I love the Airbus, man. I'm going to be a training captain on a 7-3. Don't put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby. Mine's limited to sim instruction. Ours is separate. Oh, okay, Angry Nerve. Yeah, so we have the way it works for us too is we have sim instructors. They're one. Then we have sim check airmen, and then we have straight up check airmen. Now, the check airmen, if they're qualified to do the sim, they can do both. But depending on what happens, the sim instructors pretty much stay in the sim. They don't do any online training. Then you have the OE training captains, where they do their training and you do your OE checking. So we kind of break it up too. I thought about doing sim. I think a sim captain or a sim instructor rather would be cool, but it's kind of like a good old boys club right now, and I feel like I would like streaming less if I was a sim instructor, because now I'm literally flying the sim all the time and then simming at home. You know what I mean? But I wouldn't mind doing it, at least for a little while. But the way ours works, it's a little bit... there's some negatives for my quality of life on that one that I'm just not really... I don't know if I want to accept right now, especially with a new baby number 4 on the way. So... basically, when you're a sim instructor, you're locked into your schedule. Same with check airmen. You can't swap out. Your schedule is your schedule, because you're doing line checks, and unless short of calling out sick for something, if you're ill, you can't manipulate your schedule as freely as I can do as a regular line pilot. So that was a big negative for me, especially when we were setting up to move and stuff. But it's on my radar for sure, man. On my radar for sure. And good luck to you, man. That's awesome. Best of luck to you. I'm sure you'll crush it. Jeremy, it's month on, month off. So 1 month they'll be in the sim. The next month they'll be on the line. 1 month they'll be on the sim. 1 month they'll be on the line. You kind of alternate. But a problem with that, Jeremy, is it's all seniority based too. So depending on what your seniority can hold, you may be sent to a sim center that's not in your base. So now you're commuting for an entire month to a sim center, and they'll put you up in a hotel, whatnot, but you're basically spending almost an entire month away from home because you're doing sim sessions. So that's also something you got to be cautious of. Do I prefer 2024 to 2020? I absolutely do, positive rate. I did not realize that the RJ was compatible. I think we'll do, depending on the time, we might do an RJ flight after this, before we do our career mode tonight. We'll see. We'll see if we'll triple up. When are you going to fly in real life again? Next week, man. Next week. So what we'll do is we'll prep a going back to work stream here next week sometime. I'm taking my ATP check ride in a Duchess. Kind of want to do it in a jet sim, but hey, company is paying, so I won't argue. There you go. That's cool, man. ATP check ride in a Duchess. There used to be an all-black Duchess. We called it the Blackbird, and it was a death trap because it was an all-black Duchess. When it's summertime, not a good idea. Looks cool. Roasting. Can you log the months in the sim as hours? Yes, you can, Jeremy. You sure can. But most guys that I know, they don't really bother with putting the sim hours in the logbook. They'll put it on the resume, but I mean, when you're over 6,000 hours total time, it's really just kind of a semantic at that point. But I love being a training captain on Navajo. Looking forward to be a captain on a King at some point. Yeah, the Canadian. So I was on the Chieftain and the 99. I'll never forget, I had one guy. Did I podcast that story where we land on a freaking icy runway, and instead of bringing the power levers to idle, he feathers both props? Yeah. Full torque. He had it reverse. So instead of going power levers idle, power levers idle, props full forward, because our SOP was to land with the props back, and then as soon as you touch down, it was props full forward, then reverse. He went full torque, feathered the props on an icy runway at 3 o'clock in the morning. Not very ideal. had some choice words after that one. My CFI ride was the easiest and best check ride I did. Nice, dude. Honestly, I think mine was very similar. I enjoyed my CFI ride. It was a very long check ride, but I think when you go into, if you're prepared for your CFI check ride, it's a very fun check ride to take because you kind of understand the game, the quote-unquote game by that point, right? You've taken enough check rides, you know what to expect, you know what the examiner's expecting, and you're the sharpest you've ever been when you're an instructor and you're going for your CFI and CFII. I firmly believe you are the sharpest that you'll be as far as the book is concerned, the FAR aim is concerned, when you're getting your CFI and II. So that helps the confidence level. May I ask, how do you handle family aspect as a pilot? Long hours, days away from home, potential jealous, possessive wife, kids. Hey, DZ Aviation, those are all very valid things that happen. For me, everybody's different, right? Some folks want to chase long haul, some want to chase certain airframes. For me, I wanted to fly, but I also wanted to be at home as much as possible. So I went to a company that offered the most control over my quality of life. So being able to drop trips as much as I want to with very minimal restriction, move my schedule around with minimal restrictions. That's what I went after. So a lot of the family aspects on that weren't as hard, but I mean, man, the average pilot gets divorced like what, 2 or 3 times. So it is definitely something out there. You just got to make sure you're with the right woman, or if you're a right partner. So it was very tough. I would say early on in my career, it was very tough, man. I mean, my wife now, we weren't married at the time, but I was commuting to the East Coast, and I was home 6 days a month for the better part of 2 years. I mean, think about that, being home 6 days a month. And those 6 days that I'm home, I'm unpacking, doing laundry, repacking, and thinking about my commute out on the next trip. So we didn't have a family back then, and if we did, man, I can only imagine the stress that would put on it. Some want to chase flight attendants, you're absolutely right. Some want to have, man, I've known guys that have completely separate families in other parts of the world. Like they have their family in the U.S. and then they have an entire separate family in another country, which I couldn't do. I don't understand how you could do that. V-Slang, have you had any autopilot disengaging in the Fenix? Not as of yet, my man. Not as of yet. Everything looks good here. We just leveled off at 360. You're now free to move back to cabin. Miss V1 is amazing. Yeah, she is, man. She's been, and the thing is, jealousy is a real thing when you're a pilot, because you're going to be away. So you have to be with a confident partner that's confident in their relationship with you. You've got to make sure that you're loyal and that you guys have a confident relationship and that your partner's confident in you. Because if they're not, that's what kind of kicks off the snowball effect. If they don't really trust you, or they're not really confident in the stability of your relationship, then they start to ask questions, and that drives you further away. And I've seen it, man. I've known guys, a couple of my good buddies, man, divorced, moved. They've got other families now, but they have the issue with having kids from different families and then working that out. It's tough, man. It's tough. It does happen. It's very common. What was the last time you flew on a CFM in real life? Flown on I've actually flew on a CFM not too long ago. My last trip, when we came back from a little trip we did, we were on that's why I was saying this actually sounds bang on. My wife puts the fear of God in me before 2, 3, 4 day trips. Yeah. How do you manage fitting in streaming given the already challenging relationship as an airline pilot? Tender Aviation, that comes back to where I work and the quality of life that my company allows me to have. So for instance, I literally dropped all of last month because I was like, you know what? I think I flew 2 trips. I think I flew a turn. But I was like, I'm gonna drop. I needed to spend some time at home and spend some time streaming. I had a very busy summer schedule. I flew quite a lot in the summer. Actually, I didn't fly a whole lot this year. Like we said, it's only less than 400 hours, but literally that 400 hours was in about 5 months. So it was a very, or 4 months. It was very tightly packed together. Got to have that second family in a cheap country. AJ, it was in, it was in Colombia, believe it or not. So, yeah. I am, Andy. I am, yeah. The only narrow body I found in the last decade was a CFM 319. I've flown on so many of them, mainly wing fence, but one to Mexico and a sharklet. Nice. Yeah, American 319 sharklet, CFM. Nash, depends on how I drop the trip. So again, this is all going to be laid out in your contract language. So there are multiple ways to drop a trip and still get paid for it. There's PTO. There's vacation time. We call it or like floating vacation time. So if you have vacation hours banked, you can use them to drop trips. If you are sick, obviously that's the way that you would. If you call out sick on a trip, you get paid for the trip that you miss. So that's 1, 2, 3. That's about it. Or you could just straight drop it. And if you do the straight drop, you could do that for no pay. Like say you don't want to use your vacation time, but you're like, hey, I don't need this 5-hour turn. I'm just going to drop it. You could just straight drop it. So there's a couple different ways. And then the key is when flying is good is if you can get the soft pay. So what soft pay is a trip that pays you extra for not actually flying. So for instance, if you have a 2-day trip, let's say a trip is 2 days, but you're really only gone 1 day, but it's 2 duty periods. So maybe you get in at like, say you get in late on a late night trip. It's not quite right, but you get in at 3 o'clock in the morning. That triggers the duty for the next day. So now you're getting paid for 2 days, even though technically you're only away from for 1 day. We call that soft pay. So there's block, which is your flight time, and then your credit. So you could have a 7-hour or a 6-hour block trip that pays 10 hours. So there's 4 hours of soft pay in there. So if your seniority can hold those trips, that adds up. You know, you could end up doing half the trips and still get all of the credit. That comes with seniority. AJ Fernari Passport Bros exporting their goods. Why are we turning? Are we supposed to be turning here? Yeah, we're supposed to be turning. We're looking good. Man, beautiful views out there right now. I want a banner Octilo Medical Center shirt. Octilo Medical Center. If you know, you know, Ryan. That's right, man. If you know, you know. Do sick hours and vacation time roll over? Yes, they absolutely do, Jeremy. So what I do, the best thing that I do is with my seniority, I have about 4 weeks, I think, of paid vacation. And what I like to do is roll over as much as I can. So I'll take like a week or 2 of just vacation weeks that I have. But then I have, 30 hours of credit, maybe more, that is banked in vacation time. So if I have a turn to Cancun that I don't want to do, I can drop it for vacation time, and it deducts from that bank. You keep your sick time, you save your sick time, you keep you don't have to call out sick if you're not sick, whatever, which is not something you should do anyway. But you can call out sick if your family's sick too. You can use it it's meant for sick issues, My wife has the flu, and I'm supposed to go on a trip, and we have 4 kids. I'm not going to let her be alone with the flu with 4 kids. That would be a fair use of sick time. But you could use vacation time in that case if you wanted to, so you could keep building that sick time. Because at the end, so here's the other thing, at the end of your career, when you retire or whatever, you can cash out all of that banked sick time. There's no cap on it. So the less you use it, the better. That's the incentive to not use your sick time, because you can keep banking it up and then cash it out if need be. Geographically Inverted, thank you so much for the 5 gifted memberships, my man. I appreciate you. Really appreciate the 5 gifted memberships from Geographically Inverted. All right. Are there many pilot couples in the industry? There's a handful. It's not super common. I've got over 90 banked vac days. A certain amount of my shop starts forcing you to use them. I got a call from a CP there. Really? Yeah, they want you to use it because they don't want you to bank it up and then cash it out probably. Yeah. This is why I don't date or have a wife right now. My company doesn't have any of that. It'd be a real discouragement. Yeah, it'd be tough, AFO. It'd be tough. Tom, it's up there, man. Let me check. I want to say it was close to 2,000. You mean the grand total? Let me check real quick, and then we're gonna go over some Moza stuff, and then we'll go over the blog post, because I want to. It's actually a pretty extensive blog post, and I want to check some more data, especially in light of, it looks like we're going to be getting an FS Labs Airbus to the sim, which will be, more competition is good, right? Wow, we hit 2,073 members, Tom. 2,073. You guys are absolutely awesome. Thank you all for the support. That is just awesome. Absolutely awesome. With 35 emojis unlocked. That's crazy. Sick days, I got 3 a month. Sweating my ass off in a 7.3 hold right now. Hope everyone is enjoying the stream. What's up, Geographically Inverted? Good to see you, my man. All right, Brad Ward, add another one to the count, man. Brad, appreciate you, man. Welcome to Private Pilot! Exclamation point! Welcome for your new perks here on the channel. Always appreciate that. All right, folks, let's talk briefly about the latest and greatest Moza update situation here. I'll show you a couple things. Now, there's something really key that I want to show you if you're getting the AB9 base, because I actually had some confusion about this. So, first and foremost, let's talk about your game config. When you set up your game, or when you set up your Moza, it's going to ask you to configure where the install folder is. Where is the exe located? It actually defaulted me to an app data place. That was not the correct location. For me, since I have it under Xbox, I can't show you the path because I'm in the sim right now. It won't let me. But you want to make sure for me, it was actually under Programs Xbox Limitless, and then it was there. And the way that you can tell that if you have your software set up properly is when you click launch game, and I'm not going to do this because this will launch 2020. If you click launch game, you want it to launch your sim. If it doesn't launch your sim, the link is the directory is in the wrong spot. So make sure when you click launch game, it actually launches 2024 for you. That's a key that I wanted to put out there, because it took me some finagling to actually figure out, why? Because I always thought, oh yeah, it's going to be somewhere app data, blah blah blah. It actually wasn't the right spot. So that's set up. Now, if you're running the FSprojects base, which I am, to get the button, the disconnect push button working, use the MH16 grip. There's a bunch of different grips you can select here by default. I use the MH16 as the default one. That will work with the FSprojects grip to give you the autopilot disconnect push button as button number 2. So that's another thing, because if you look here, like, well, I don't see my FS project, you're not going to see it. You're not going to see it here. So just use the MH16 grip for that. All right, looking at our Airbus profile here, you can see this is what you should have all these numbers. Now, I've been playing with the spring. I think our latest version for the profile, for the 320 profile, I have spring down to 41%, and that's what that will look like there. Those are your values. And then what's really cool is this puppy right here. Make sure when you download the profile off the Discord that you do get the proper mappings here for your force output. You can see it's not linear. There's a custom curve, and we've tried to tune this between pitch and roll as best as we could to kind of mimic the real side stick. What I still am going to do is I'm bringing a scale to work on my next trip, if it's somebody I know them, and I'm going to measure the felt force to actually roll and pitch the side stick, and then I'm going to match that exactly. It's going to be pretty close to what these numbers are right now, because I got to tell you, it feels spot on as is. So if you go to the Discord, go to the hardware section, download the profile, throw it into your sim, or into your AB, or your firmware, your software version here, Moza cockpit rather, can't speak. and just make sure that those all work. Now, all of the force feedback stuff, if you're going to be using the Airbus profile, all of this is going to be turned off because we don't want any. If the Airbus doesn't have actual force feedback, we're just using it as a like a loaded side stick, a dampened side stick, just like the real thing. So you're not going to feel rumbles, you're not going to feel speed brake, gear, any of that on this profile because you don't want to. That would not be realistic. So that's all set up. You can select your profile. Now what's cool is you can actually select a profile for a different sim and run it in your current sim. So right now I'm running my work in progress V3 profile for 2020, even though I'm in 2024 right now. So if you have, maybe you have a profile for helicopters that you spent a lot of time on for DCS and you want to use that same profile in Microsoft Flight Simulator, you can do that. Just make sure your data is set up, make sure you're running here in DCS, but then select the proper profile that you want to run for that sim. It doesn't have to necessarily match up. We're getting a TCAS TARA. What's that all about? We're getting a TCAS TARA. Who's right in front of us? Huh, I don't see anybody. Wow, it's bright out there. All right. But that's my little spiel on the Moza. I read somewhere it's between 1.1 pounds of force to break off center and like 5.6 full right and 4.8 full left. Does that sound right? That definitely sounds plausible. Who is trying to run into us here? It's an invisible traffic. Oh, there he is. Ah! Oh my gosh, that's so scary. That's something you do not want to see ever in real life. How creepy was that? Are we going the wrong? Are we wrong altitude? We're slightly west, so we should be even. We're right. He's wrong, because he's going. He should be at an even altitude, or at an odd altitude rather. That was creepy looking. But I didn't want to. You know, the joys of being on flight sim. You don't really have to worry about that. But I mean, it's cool. We got the proper RA. Should have complied with it, but I got more stuff I want to do here on stream than comply with RAs right now. But that is scary. But you see how, so what's interesting, this is a good little information tidbit, is you see how that TCAS went off a while ago. As soon as you get that, that first advisory, that TA, you have time to react. You have time to react. Once you get an RA, you still have time. Now, you don't want to delay. You don't want to delay, but you don't have to freak out and throw everybody into the roof. Just TCAS, I have control, comply with the RA, put it at the limit. Now, if you have auto TCAS enabled, which is pretty cool, and it is modeled, I believe, right? What did we fly where the auto TCAS was modeled? Maybe that was on the 380. I don't know if I've tested auto TCAS in the Fenix yet. I know it's an option. So if you have your TCAS autopilot, the TCAS will automatically comply with the RA. So we saw that before on stream, which is great, I guess, but I don't know. I feel like at some point you got to be a pilot and you got to do something. I don't know how I feel about that system. Have the airplane automatically do it. I guess statistically it's better, but I don't know. I don't get the warm fuzzies when I know my airplane can just automatically start reacting to something. Because what if it gets a false sense of something, right? Or what if it's supposed to be inhibited below 1,000 feet or whatever, 750 RA, and all of a sudden it's not inhibited and it drives you down on the ground? Like, giving the airplane control to just, it just makes me doesn't give me the warmest fuzzies, you know? But there are operators that run it. We have these installed on some of our aircraft. But our SOPs say that we still comply with the TCAS manually. Even though we have it installed on some aircraft, we are supposed to do our TCAS procedure, which is as soon as you get that TCAS, I have control, put your hand on the side stick, you're looking. If you get an RA, autopilot off, flight directors off, comply with the RA. So, and notify ATC. Can you overwrite it, direct enter? I would imagine you can. You'd have to disconnect the autopilot and then overwrite it. So I'm sure you can override it, but again, you have to just knowing the airplane has that control on you is like makes me a little bit sussy. All right. Now we can finally continue on with what I really wanted to do here, because I never got to finish reading it the last time we started this, and I actually thought it was quite interesting and quite detailed, and maybe Canadian will finally be quiet about his infatuation with FS Labs, who he's never even flown before. No, I know he's just trolling. Trying to resize this so we can have a juice view and still go over the numbers here. What do we got here? Blackbird Controls gifting the 5 memberships. Blackbird Controls, my man, good to see you in the chat. Always a pleasure. Thank you so much for the 5 gifted memberships. Remember, folks, never a time to forget. If you have the Bravo Throttle Quadrant, check out Blackbird Controls, because I still use his stuff all the time. I've got his 7.3 and 727 levers. Just waiting for that 727 to become compatible in 2024, man. You know, it's going to be back. Now, what I did hear, Blackbird, is somebody's been telling me that the RJ and the 146 series are now compatible with 2024. So that is pretty sweet, because I thought you were going to work on some of those, right, in the future. But that would be pretty cool to have the RJ levers, having 4 proper RJ levers. Also, with the 777 coming out soon, or with it already out, but the 200 coming out soon, might consider looking at those put that on your future project list. Canadian says, honestly, I'll just buy the Fenix because I didn't buy, or I'll just buy the FS Labs because I didn't buy the Fenix 21 yet. Why not try another product? Yeah, no, it makes sense, man. It makes sense. But that leads us into this topic of conversation about by the numbers. And if you missed the last stream where we just did I read like the first 2 paragraphs, and I've been trying to convey this for a while, that even though you can have perfect numbers in your simulation of your airplane, the simulator is not perfect. So it may fly like crap even though the numbers are perfect. Now this is I noticed this in another product, a very expensive product in X-Plane, where I started to see some issues with something there, but it's also not restricted to just that product. There are some other issues, and no, it wasn't the Tolos, by the way. I've seen other developers make airplanes, not necessarily airliners, that are, oh, this is 100% of what the book numbers say, but you get into the aircraft and you fly it and it just flies not right. It's super twitchy, it flies like crap, doesn't have the momentum that you need. Sometimes you need to find a balance between what book numbers say and what you're actually feeling in the simulator that you're flying on. And Fenix has talked about that, and Amir put it into really elegant words that are much better than anything I can say. But if you haven't read this blog post, I highly recommend you do it, because he talked about it. And then with that in mind, they're conducting an audit on their own flight model. So we're going to go through this and check this out here. Oh my goodness, water. Hold on, I need to pause my alert box here before it freezes. I can't get to it now, it's frozen. There it is. Water. My goodness me. Dropping the 50 gifted memberships to the channel. Y'all, if you pick up a membership from Water, make sure you say thank you to him. U.S. Navy in the house representing. Appreciate all the love and support, man. Hey, you could have went out and bought yourself a good dinner with that, man. I appreciate the support, Water. I guess it is Friday, right? When's Army Navy game? Is this? Oh, next weekend. Next weekend. All right, we'll have a watch-along party with Water next weekend. Army Navy game. But it's the Christmas season, he says. I appreciate. Sponsored by Xbox controllers. Yeah, we are officially sponsored by Xbox controllers now, courtesy of Water. Thanks again, man. I appreciate you, man, for that massive bomb. He could have bought a proper flight controller. That's what I'm saying, Canadian. I mean, he at least could have got himself a TCA stick with that. Like, I'll never be unthankful. But I don't want anyone to ever feel like they have to donate or super chat or anything like that to be relevant on the channel. It's just I appreciate the support, however you guys support it. DZ Aviation, exclamation point specs. It may not work right now because water just bombed the chat. But if you do exclamation point specs here, when it settles down, it'll pop up the specs for you. I just called it up for you. Hopefully that works. That is the current specs as of now. I've kind of rigged my PC to wait for a 5 series GPU. That's what I'm kind of waiting on. If I can hopefully snag one of those, because I need the VRAM. As a streamer content creator, VRAM is king, and I need to find a card that has the absolute most amount of VRAM. That's why I didn't get a 4090 at full price, because I want to wait for a 5 series at full price. So. All right. The one Canadian super chat, my man. Appreciate you, Canadian. He's the Canadian is our FS Labs representative. All right, community, V1 Amazing community. I appreciate that. A question for y'all: both 2020 and 2024 have been having a lunging stutter issue where the plane slows and then lunges forward every second. That sounds to me, Zachary, like you're running out of RAM or something and you're having an issue with loading what's coming up. Try deleting rolling cache, turning your settings down, and your LOD. LOD is the #1 killer, especially in 2020. So turn that all the way down to the minimum and see if that fixes it. If it does, then you know you have some type of limitation there with your GPU, most likely. If it doesn't affect it, then there might be something greater going on, which would require some further investigating. But I always tell everybody, turn your LOD all the way down first. If that fixes your issue, then work up from there. All right. So going back to what we were talking about, though, this is where Amir said it's not only flight modeling is an art and a science, but it's a balancing act, because you have to balance between what is real numbers and what does it actually feel like in the sim. So for today, we're going to focus purely on the quantitative aspect of the flight model, showing you extracts from a recent flight model audit, which are undertaken regularly to both verify changes and ensure we've not inadvertently affected other aspects of the flight model. So now they're going to go into what is a flight model audit. It's a series of infinitely repeatable and controllable test scenarios that mirror real-world tests performed by the actual aircraft that can automatically be logged in real time and compared via our developer telemetry system, providing a broad insight into the current status of accuracy of any aircraft across any flight regime. That's pretty crazy to me. This is our go-to when we get a report such as the 319 is too slippery on approach. We note all the configuration data from the user, identify a matching test scenario, then run through a flight model audit matching the user's configuration, and we can see whether there is a deviation from the real-world aircraft, and if so, how much of a deviation. So how much percent X is the sim version of the airplane deviating from the real airplane. Now remember, a real airplane doesn't always fly exactly by the book either, and even you can have two 320s with the exact configuration physically, but both of them they may fly a little bit differently, just because maybe one got landed hard and is a little bit bent, or the perf factor on this one's a little bit, or maybe this engine has got way more hours than the other. Like, you never know. Little things. Real world is very not by the book. You know, by the book is great in theory, but you got to get out there and actually have to get the data from the aircraft that are flying, because even the real world aircraft are going to have different data numbers than what the book says. Now, it may not be a lot, but there's definitely going to be some divergence from what the book says. And when the divergence gets so far, guess what? Then it's maintenance time, right? So just wanted to put that out there, because you got to understand that from the very beginning before we get more in depth here, is there's a whole lot of variation in real life. What data do you use? Our ground truth data comprises several manufacturer data sets, cross-referenced and checked again both itself and external data sets. This is the exact same data provided to airlines or avionics manufacturers for flight planning, fuel calculations, aircraft telemetry and monitoring, and many more applications. Understandably, whenever mention of real-world data comes up, people will want to know the source and accuracy of such data, right? You guys call me a fake pilot all the time. I've been accused of that all the time. So am I a valuable or a valid source? I don't know. To some I might be, to some I may not be. Phoenix says, for us, even more so, we simply cannot risk developing upon bad or inaccurate data. So for people like me, we've been fortunate enough to verify and correlate this data with our in-house A32X engineers and pilots and are confident in its accuracy. Now, all that aside, I will tell you, I've flown every Airbus add-on that's available to flight simulation, going back to FS9, when we had the AeroSoft, well, obviously all the defaults, but I think the first, like, quote-unquote, more simulated Airbus was the AeroSoft one on the FSX, and then the FS Labs, then it was P3D FS Labs, then it was the Fenix, then it was the Tolus. Now then it was, the Flight Factor, then it was the Tolus, and now it's the Fenix, and now FS Labs is coming back into 2020, hopefully 2024 in the future. So there's only one that I haven't flown, and that's the one in 2020 that still hasn't even been released yet. So knowing that, I can sit here and tell you, and I'm just one person, I'm one opinion, but I've been on the airplane for 10 years. I've flown all the different versions. I've flown different simulators. I've flown the real-world sim. I've flown the real-world airplane. I can tell you confidently that, in my opinion, what we have right now with the Fenix is the most accurate representation of an Airbus on a desktop simulator. Now, does that mean it's 100% accurate across the board in every aspect? No, it does not mean that. It just means sim limitations. We all hate hearing that. Sim limitations included. Discrepancies in software loads, okay, included, which you could have my operator has a different software load than another operator, and that operator has a hodgepodge software load of another operator. Like, there's variances in that. So obviously, it's not going to be 100% across the board for everyone. But in my experience and what I'm experiencing, I still can firmly say that this is the most realistic representation of an Airbus that we have right now on a desktop simulation. And then I know there's a rebuttal to that as well. What about the FS Labs and P3D? It's really good. And you even said that it was the best, years ago. And I would agree with you that on the P3D platform, the FS Labs is king. The reason I can't say that now is because I believe the environment that which Microsoft provides, the simulated weather environment, the flight modeling just in general of the sim, plays into my statement of the Fenix being the most accurate to date, because the simulator, in my opinion, is a better representation of the all-around aspects of flying the Airbus. So that's where I continue to say Fenix is still in front of that, which will make it interesting in the future, right, when the FS Labs does eventually come to 2020, but only time will tell. All right, so they're going to go into a couple different tests here. We're going to skim through this. We're going to try to cherry pick some information that I want to talk about. Let me get to Zachary J. Thank you for the $2 super chat, man. Thank you. I'll give it a try. Absolutely, man. Yeah, appreciate the super chat. Give it a try. Report back. Turn that LOD all the way down. Basically, you want to isolate graphics issues from maybe a driver issue or graphics capability from something else, maybe a driver issue or a CPU limitation. Start with the graphics first. Phoenix flare mode bugs me the most. Everything else is awesome. Adrian, so I'm curious, and look, I'm glad we have differing opinions. I can't find the word I'm looking for, because if we all if everybody said, oh yeah, you're 100% right, then it'd be so boring. So I'm glad. Thank you for bringing up your point. Can you elaborate why you think it bugs you? I think it's good that we have these discussions, because then, this is also data that Phoenix can take in and be like, well, if all these guys are saying this and I'm saying this, maybe got to find some middle ground. But all right, so A319 wingtip fence. This is cool. We're going to go through this because this is a deceleration test, and we just recently did this in the 321 on stream live. So our first test is with the decel test. This is where we get a measure of the time it takes for an aircraft to slow down in a given configuration and any flight regime, giving in broad strokes a very quick and easy way of checking that the deceleration of the aircraft matches what engineering would expect. It is important to recognize that this data is for validation, not build, and therefore only has the appropriate level of granularity. The below test is performed at 2,000 feet and level flight in various configurations. Our chosen control data set is a 62-ton aircraft gear down landing flap config. So this will emulate in the sim, and we'll neutralize the weather for this as we will do in all tests. So assume this to be the case. So ISA +0 and no wind, fully configured in level flight. We have the time required for a given weight and approach at approach idle from X speed to Y speed. This is what is measured and compared for us to quickly identify if the aircraft decelerates as expected. The testing data is collected and dumped by the aircraft's internal flight data recorder log, blah, blah, blah. Our control is the engineering data. Our result is our sim performance. Our delta is the difference between sim and engineered data. So deceleration test, let's look into this. Now, this is what's great. We did this live last week, and we did it. I said it. I was like, and this is before I even read this article. I still haven't read all of this yet. But even before Amir joined the stream, I was like, man, the TOLUS felt a little bit too slippery, like it didn't have enough drag. And then I was in the Fenix, and I'm like, yeah, the Fenix feels more realistic, but it almost felt just a hair too draggy. And then Amir came on and showed us that by 2 seconds, it was off. And so that validated my opinion, which in my mind just validates, okay, then maybe I'm not completely full of crap and I actually have a little bit of knowledge of what I'm talking about, because the real aircraft would have decelled at 66 seconds. The Fenix did it in 64 seconds. The TOLUS did it in, I think, 80-something seconds. So you can see the discrepancy, and you can see how much closer Fenix was, and then you can see where the real data was. That was really cool. That was before the leaks, Gabriel, exactly, before the leaks. Alexandra Bellini dropped another 20 gifted memberships to the chat. Alexandra Bellini, very kind, very, very kind of you. Thank you for the awesome support here and the more gifted subs. I mean, everyone is going to be green. I appreciate that. Very, very kind. Validated opinion equals fact. So this is a factual stream. Exactly. That's what I've been saying, right? No. Okay, so let's look at the data here for the data set. So in config 3, from 180 to 170 knots, the control is 6 seconds, the result 5.5, the delta was 461 milliseconds. Yeah, so very, very close. What was it again? So our result is sim performance. So result is sim performance, right? So 6 seconds, and this is what the sim is doing. You can see we are within milliseconds here in config 3. Looking at the config full data, so from 170 to 160, 4.8 seconds. So you can see the drag, right? On the real aircraft, the drag is increased, and it reduces the amount of time it takes to decelerate, and that is also represented here. Now, this is a varying of 576 milliseconds, which is crazy. To think that we are actually in that realm of closeness. So if you guys think the 319 is not very accurate, think again, because we're talking milliseconds. Now also think about variation of wind conditions, variation of your energy state prior to trying to decelerate. Like, those all come into play as well. So well within the realm of acceptable deviation is what I would say. Real quick, I'm going to check up front here what our distance is to top of descent. We're about 120 miles top of descent. Okay, so we still got some time. We're looking good. Let's go back to our wing view where we were. Nah, not that wing. That wing view is mid. Let's go back over here and put you just like so. I bet Miss V1 somehow still doesn't catch a membership. Yeah, I think we determined it's because I think she's got a branded account maybe, or she knows me and it won't let her to get one. But again, thank you, Alexander Blaine. Appreciate that. It seems like it's within the variation of air you'd get in real life. Do a test on a real airplane 10 times, you get a different result every time. Also airframe to airframe. Exactly. That's what I was kind of hitting on before that. Looking at the above, it seems the central tendency of the deviation is approximately 400 milliseconds from control across both flap 3 and flap full. To think that we're in a place where virtual aircraft on your PC today can demonstrably show an in a margin measured to milliseconds to the real metal is quite something to behold and speaks highly to the positive possibilities Microsoft Flight Simulator is capable of. Yes, and this is not just, and I'm glad that Amir, I think Amir wrote this, he worded it that way. So you could easily said the possibilities Fenix is capable of. Fenix is obviously doing all the work here to make this airplane as realistic as possible. But the fact is, for months and for years, we've said, oh, well, Microsoft Flight Model this, Microsoft Flight Model that. It's not as good as this, it's not as good as that. The sim is proving to be capable of very high accuracy in flight modeling. You just need the right devs to put in the right amount of work and the right amount of time to make a good product. So this is what I've been harping on, especially this last week. I have all my add-ons in 2020. I struggle to fly that simulator because I don't have as much fun, because it doesn't feel as fluid, it doesn't feel as realistic, it just doesn't feel right to me anymore because I've been exposed to how this sim is feeling. So that's something to look at too. But I mean, I'm sure the Fenix is probably just as accurate in 2020, but all my other airplanes, maybe not so much, right? Especially on the ground, Blackbird, you're out here, got to run, do shipping. Awesome, hit the gym, man. That's what I need to do, man. Apologies, I won't be around for the 408. Happy flying. Hey, Blackbird, you have a wonderful evening, my friend. Enjoy the weekend, and appreciate all the love and support, dude. We'll see you in a little bit. Velociraptor, 2 years. Time does fly, my man. Time does fly. All right, pitch to power test. I might skip this one. I'm kind of curious. What is this? Value of pitch and power. This should reason for them when managed to stay awake this far. Good judging between airspeed and aerodynamics. Okay, this actually is kind of an interesting one. We'll kind of breeze through this one. I want to see if there's another one that I'm more interested in. But so basically, where does the airplane pitch at when you set a specific thrust at a specific weight? So the control result here, we'll just break down the results. A 66-ton aircraft to 56-ton weight band has 7 degrees of pitch at approximately 62.8% N1. The result in the Fenix, a 62-ton weight aircraft, so a little bit lighter, has a 6.49 degrees of pitch at 60.4% N1. Now, I can tell you right now there's going to be varying degrees just depending on that specific airframe's engine, how long it's been, and the actual thrust that engine is producing, depending on its wear. So to only be off 2% here and half a degree is like, it doesn't even trigger as a variance to me, because you go pick a different 319, do the same test, and for all we know, it could be exactly what this result is. You know, that's what we're talking about when variances between real life and the sim world. Within a 10-ton banding, we are 0.5 degrees off pitch and 2.4 low on the N1. This is currently on the border of acceptable tolerance, but we will be keeping an eye on the N1 variance to make sure it does not trend any further away once we get to the cruise checks. So, pay attention to this last line here. Nerd alert indeed, Jeff. Nerd alert indeed. So they're tracking the variance in the engine output here in the N1 to make sure it doesn't trend any further away. But they also have to keep in mind, if you change something on the front end, you might end up changing something on the back end. So you have to find the balance of accepting a margin of error maybe in climb to have a better or a lesser margin of error in cruise, because that's where you're going to spend most of the time. And if you don't have the right cruise settings, then your burns are going to be off longer, therefore making your flight planning more inaccurate, therefore not what you want to do. If anything, you want your cruise flight to be as close as you can to accurate, because that's where you're going to spend the bulk of the flight, and that's where your performance and your fuel burn and your weight and stuff is going to become very important. So one thing to note, a long time ago, we did a 321 Neo flight in the TOLIS. I think it was like prior to release. The engines were way too efficient. We flew from Hawaii to LAX, and we were like 8 tons overweight for landing. And that's because we flew 8 hours with an engine that was way too efficient, therefore not burning enough fuel, therefore not losing enough weight, therefore being overweight for landing. So that's why it's important. to make sure you track these variances and make sure that cruise variance is pretty locked in. Now above we talk about an acceptable window. What is the acceptable window? In the real world, tolerance tend to vary, of course, but I'll give you an example of an IAE, of an in-service IAE engine so you can get a general idea. So this is a real world tolerance here. Plus or -2% to up to 3.8% N1. So that's a grand total of 5.8% N1 variance. Fuel flows 100 up to 125 plus, down to -50. EGTs -25 plus 90 EGT in the variant. I can tell you there's some 321s that are just, they run hot, man. Or some IA engines rather, that just, they run hot. And all engines do. Anybody that's flown real airplanes knows some engines just run hotter than others. This is simply for ground idle, of course, right? Because that'll change the different phases. But the point is to illustrate that in the real world, things have a natural variation. Very cool. All right, cruise fuel flow test. We'll look at that in a second. Let me look at where we're at here again. Check what? Check approach select. Enter destination data. Check approach selection. That's a new one. All right. Let me, we'll take a break from that for now. And let's set up, let's actually set up our aircraft for our approach here. So first and foremost, let's get the cheapy weather real quick. Weather, approach, let me refresh it. SCBA 290 at 9 and 1019. So let's go here. 290 at 9 and 1019 is 3008. 3008. And what was the temp? Now you can pull this from the ATIS, but I'm kind of skipping that. 13 degrees. And the baro for the RNAV Zulu 27. I find your lack of analog IFSD disturbing. Well, I'm glad you said something. Let's fix that. How do you feel now? I actually like this better. Alright. That's all looks good. Modifiable, nav and go around. We have LDEV, AC. We'll keep turning that on. Should have nav and go around. We'll keep FLS off. I wonder if it doesn't want us to do this approach technically because it's an RNP. We're gonna give it a shot anyway, just to see what happens. Let me go to our approach charts. SCBA, RNAV Zulu. That's the one. How do I get rid of that again? Oh my gosh. How do I get rid of this thing? Always forget. RNP Zulu. Drives me nuts. CERTA is the initial at 17 thou. And final approach fix. We'll do RMP 0.3 because I'm not exactly sure. I think we should. I think we'll be fine. RMP 0.3, 2110. And we do not have FLS. So we do not have that. That looks good. Oh, RadNav. I need to. Oh, we never did our clear and copy. Clear that out. Clear that out. Clear that out. So now I can auto-tune. Secondary, we'll copy the active. That looks good. The arrow on the left. No, that brings me back. That's what I thought. I thought that arrow would make me full screen. It doesn't. The little gray bar. Oh yeah. Yeah, we got to change that. You got to rework your whole EFB to make V1 happy. The thin tab. Why is that tab so thin? That's what I like. The PMDG had a nice thick scroll bar. The scroll bar in the Fenix, if that's the number one negative for the Fenix is the thin scroll bar, then they're still doing something right. So let's see, missed approach, blah, blah, blah. What are the minimums, requirements? Required RNP AR approach required, approach approval required, special aircraft and aircrew authorization that don't have any of those, RF required. We do not have that. Cat ABC below 12T doesn't apply, above 54C, Cat D. We're fine with all of that. Max speeds coming around the corner, 190. What are we looking at for our weight and approach speed today? Our VAP is going to be, we're not going to descend to 340. Let's do 320 knots there. Our VAP is 141, so we'll be all right. We'll be below that. So we're good to go. I'm going to set 17 thou for the initial. We do not need our LS push buttons up. 17,000 is set. We'll look for the brick and the stick illegally, and we'll have some fun with it. So we're about another well, we're approaching 20 miles from TOD, so not much more reading time. We might pick this up a little bit later on maybe another flight later on, because I do think this is interesting data. I want to see, let's skim through this real quick. So is there anything we can actually look at? V1, I am specially authorizing you to fly this approach. Yeah, perfect. I'm legal. I've got vodka's legality. We're good to go. Now, this is all a 319 still, right? I believe. Cruise fuel flow test. Now, this is, let's go through this one because this is a big one. Is there a 321 cruise flow? This is 320. That's IAE decel, IAE cruise flow. We don't have a 321 IAE to look at. So we'll just look at the CFM. How about we look at the CFM 320 cruise flow? Yeah, cruise flow test. Well, we got to look at the first one because there was an explanation. So, initial conditions, 61 tons, ISA plus 0, Mach 7.8. All right, so I would like to see all the numbers side by side. What do you mean? Of all the different aircraft? That would be kind of, I mean, this is a public blog. You can probably go take screenshots and put together like a little QC card or something and have it all posted up. That actually would be kind of cool. And then you could download that to like a kneeboard or something and then check, and you can verify it when you're flying your airplane, see what your airplane is doing that day in a non-standard environment, because remember, this is all done in a standard sterile environment. That actually would be kind of a fun project. Why don't one of you smarter people than me take all the images, put it on something that's really easy to read and compare, and then I can download it and use it. All right, finally some fuel flow and cruise N1 validation to make sure the aircraft is burning what it should and that XEM is performing the way it should. This is because, this becomes yet another complex cross-section between what the aero model is doing and what our external engine model is doing. But measuring this really is quite simple. The engineering data outputs the expected fuel flow and N1 for a given weight, altitude, weather, and speed. I have the expected numbers in my real-world EFB. And then we go perform this in the sim and see whether it matches or not. So, they've already done the testing for us. Let's take a look at it. Are we turning already? I think we need to descend now. Let's go ahead and begin that descent, and then we'll finish this up. Manage descent. We're on our way down. And we're just going to finish this, and then we'll go. And we'll go flying for real. So, fuel flow at flight level 200. The real aircraft, obviously we're in kgs here, 3,400 kgs an hour. The aircraft in the sim, 3,480 kgs, a 2% difference, well within a real-world variance, in my opinion. At 25,000 feet, 3,000, 3,100. At 300, it's actually a little bit more efficient. Okay, that's interesting. So it goes from being just a hair less efficient to a hair more efficient at 300, and then this is the crucial altitude here. The most crucial altitude is going to be the highest altitude, right? Because this is the cruise altitude where you're expected to be burning the most fuel for the longest amount of time. 2252, 2240, less than 1% variance in cruise. That is actually kind of mind-blowing when you think about it. all right? Because you take 3 different 320s, I would say they're probably greater. It's probably a 1% variance, at least in 1, if not 2 of the 3, right? So the fact that we're less than 1% from a real world test subject here is pretty insane. You could see the N1s look very similar. So the N1s are changing at 350 at cruise, where you want the most accuracy, 0.2%. Besides the flight level 300 fuel flow abnormality at a 4% variance being flagged for a review, the rest is looking very nice and in a very good place, generally under a 2% variance. So we'll end it here, but we'll see what other tests they have. Basically pitch power, that's all the sum, then the air audit summary. Well, let's go ahead and read the summary. I guess we'll end it here. It's all the same stuff, but for different aircraft. The above audit, from the above audit, extract our overall fuel flow and N1 variations from ground truth are as follows. Fuel flow delta within a median of 2.2% and an average of 2.74%. The N1 delta is a median of 0.7 to 0.73. This tells us we're trending pretty close to the numbers, though with a bit more variance than we'd like on the fuel flow in some areas. For pitch power, we have the following variations. 0.3 in pitch delta and an average of 0.54 N1 delta with a median of 3.35 and 3.43. I mean, we're talking splitting hairs. This is the definition of splitting hairs. The takeaway from all of this is that we still have work to do in some areas. That's something that Fenix says. I mean, there are a ton of devs that would probably not even consider working on their airplane if they were within 10% variance. Okay, so this shows you the dedication to detail and accuracy that this airplane is that we fly in this sim. We're trending closer and closer to real world figures, and even including a few outliers, our average difference from the ground truth across the entire audit is just about 3.72%. The accepted margins on the big simulators used for training pilots is around 3%. So we've gone from, the real world, the sims that we use to train, 3 to 3.72. Where possible, we hold ourselves to an even higher standard, and we'll continue to chip away at these gaps between us and reality. So there you have it. I mean, let the numbers speak for themselves, y'all. I mean, we need to hurry up and get down here, I think, because let's go ahead and get some speed brakes out. Let's hustle down. When you're talking a variance of 3.75 and the real world sim is 3.7, that's mind-blowing to me. Here's another interesting tidbit. So the real world sims that we train on, you want to talk about realism and accuracy? Look at the fuel flow variance here. 4690, 4720, 66.6, 66.7. These are about the same right now. We're at idle, so I would expect it to be the same, but when there's power on the airplane, it's definitely... These engines are independently simulated with their own random variances inside of them. The real-world sim that I use for training, the engines are a 100% copy-paste of each other. They're identical numbers on both sides. Now, that doesn't mean you can't have all the failures possible. 100%, that's what we use the simulator to train. We do fuel leaks, oil leaks, all that stuff, and you can make the engines diverge. But in general, if you're just doing a training flight and you're not having any engine malfunctions, your engines are exactly the same. So I could even take a hot take here that I'd get crushed for. It'd be like, the Fenix is bordering on more realistic simulation to a real airplane than some of the real world simulators. At the very least, you could make a take and say it's almost as good within a percentage of what the level D sims are producing. Okay, in terms of numbers. Pretty crazy when you think about it that way. Pretty crazy. All right, we're on our descent. We'll disarm you. At or above. That's supposed to be 12.5. I don't trust this. I'm going to do an open descent down to 12,000. I'm going to select speed, 330 here, so we're going to run it up. I want to get down to 12 ASAP here. You enjoy this. Let me get flight recorder up and running. Canadian says level D sims aren't simulate to simulate. Well, they're most well, they're used to do emergencies, but you also have to do your LOEs. You have to do your. There are multiple sims that you use or that you do, that we do, where there are no engine abnormalities. So it may be dealing with different types of approaches. It might be learning how to land the airplane. It may be learning how to run evacuation procedures or run diversion procedures for medical. Like, there are plenty of times in the simulator where your problem is not engine related. So, I mean, and you could see why would you have variance in a level D sim? You're just using up brain power. You don't need that. But in real life, there are variances. In the sim, there are variances from Fenix. It's not a copy-pasted engine. That was one of the big detractors from the pilot's DH7. So if you guys, the DH7 that came out on 2020, I really, really thought long and hard about picking it up. But I saw the engine start sequence. Every single engine started exactly the same. Every single numerical value was identical, copy-pasted of each other. 4 engines across the board. That alone ruined it for me. I said, I can't do that. That ruins the immersion for me. Because if you know PT6s, Canadian knows, or you know turboprops in general, turboprops are even greater in variance, I think, than the jet engines. So anyway, that's what drove me away from not actually pulling the trigger on that airplane. Tom A, just the $2 super chat. Blasphemy. Blasphemy, I know. Blasphemy it is. But, and here's the other thing. When we come to aircraft control and what does the airplane feel like, I'm going to be honest with you. If you're flying, and this is not a knock, this is not a I'm superior, this is just a fact. If your hardware does not represent the capabilities, or if your hardware does not have the capability to act like the real airplane or close to the real airplane, how can you expect it to feel like the real airplane? Insert an entry-level side stick. Now, this is not a knock. I've flown on entry-level side sticks many times. The high-level hardware is not for everybody. It's not in everyone's budget. But what I'm saying is, if you're looking to enhance your experience, you need to look at enhancing your hardware so you can take advantage of the simulation, right? All right, we got to slow down. We're blowing this whole approach here. All right, app nav finals blue. I'm trying to slow down here. We got speed brakes out. Let's get some additional Chinese speed brakes out. Let's get all the lights on. Let's get our seatbelt sign on. Best stick for 500 max. It's going to be somewhere with either like the wind wing base and an FS grip, or some sort of base that you can manipulate the dampening and the spring tension. Like, I know how Windwing allows you to do it. What's the other big brand? It's not Windwing. There's another one that's similar. And then if you're looking at Airbus specifically, man, I told you for years I love that Thrustmaster magnetic base for Airbus specifically. But why I wouldn't, if you're just going to get one stick to fly a bunch of different airplanes, you got to look at something that's got some sort of manipulability with its internals, like the new Ursa Minor from Windwing. Verpal, that's the one I was thinking of. Sorry, Verpal. Verpal is another one. But if you want, I say entry level, not necessarily entry level, but if your price point is sub 200, what's the Windwing Ursa Minor? I think is what it's called. That thing was great. I used it at XP782's house. The throw is a little bit short, but for the price point, I think it's probably the best one that you're going to find for the price point. I really believe that. It's gonna be significantly greater than the TCA side stick. The dampening on it feels great. But I also agree with Team Vodka. If you're 500 max, you're not far off from the Moza base. And if you already have a Warthog grip, you can put a Warthog grip on the Moza. So there's that too. All right, let's descend to 7,000 for juice purposes. Actually, we have a hard 8. Let's go down to 8,000 For juice purposes, we're thrust idle, open, descent. App nav is on. We're alt final. I'm descending down. We got a speed restriction coming up. Let's do 210. I don't like 210, but we're going to do it anyway. We're doing this for juice. 210 is selected. Let's go flaps 1. I've been on the Satek X. Oh, that went up the chat. I want to see that because I had a Satek forever, Kalimbo. I've been on X52 since FSX, and I'm getting sick of it. Kalimbo, I had the Satek, same thing, man, for decades. I went from the X52 to the X56, which was a cool little up. But yeah, I would highly recommend. Technology is advancing now to where you can get that Ursa, and there's no sponsorship here from WinWing at all. I'm not. Matter of fact, I don't think WinWing likes me because I tend to have a lot of their competitors' products. But out of curiosity, I'm going to look it up here real quick so I'm not lying to y'all. What's that WinWing Ursa Minor side stick price? The Ursa Minor is $79. So retail, I guess. Well, maybe not. Off for 110. It's a fighter. So basically less than 150 is what you're looking at. You're looking at less than 150. So if you're that's your budget, and maybe you're playing on an Xbox controller like Water, that's where I would look. I would look at that Ursa Minor. We're at flaps 2. We're looking good. Balmaceda traffic, line Chile 357 out of 10,500. We're setting up for the RNAV 27 Balmaceda traffic. All right, we'll go ahead and hit our magic barrel ref 3005. Sin sounds are coming up. Lights are on. We'll go ahead and clear the caution there. Speaking of side stick, it keeps telling me my side stick is not right. What happens is I think because there's a set dead zone that I have in there in the software itself, and I think what happens is if I click and drag to the right or something, it'll lock that side. I don't know. It does something weird, but it actually is working quite good right now. Excuse me. I believe it's so I still use Bravo, Zach. I don't know what the default is. I changed mine back to B key. I think comma. Yeah, comma says Angry Nerve. Bought the TCA yoke this week. More interested in flying with HOTAS, but waiting for a force feedback base. Yeah, that's good. So, and that's, the same is true. The same is true with yoke-driven aircraft. So, just what I said about your hardware being able to represent, at least attempt to represent the airplane a little bit more, the flight model more. Going from say a TCA side stick flying a 737 to the TCA Boeing yoke, that is a huge step up. The TCA Boeing yoke, hands down, force feedback not included, is the best yoke, in my opinion, on the market that you can get for flying, because it allows 100% control over that very minimal, that minimum zero zone. Okay, there is no hard center in the Boeing yoke because it's a pendular motion. It's not a push-pull motion. So that's why I think that's the best option for non-force feedback. That TCA Boeing yoke is great. The only reason I don't use it is because I have force feedback now. But that's not a knock on the Boeing yoke at all. I've been VKBs for a while. They're pretty solid now. Yeah, I had VKB. Captain Cannon House, what's going on, man? Good to see you, dude. Imagine a TCA Boeing yoke with force. Dude, mind blown, Captain Canada. You gotta work your magic over there, man. The TCA, just imagine the TCA yoke as it sits with force feedback. It would take the yoke market by storm. There would be no competition. It would absolutely do that. Good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. I know it's been a little while, man, but I do, man, my deepest condolences for Daisy. That's the one downside about dogs, man, is humans outlive them. And unless you've been in your shoes and you've been in that situation where you have to make that decision, sometimes it's hard for people to relate. But I can tell you, man, I feel your pain for you. Hope Henry is filling. I don't want to say filling the gap, but bringing you joy. I got my beagle's diagnosed with congestive heart failure recently, so Doing okay now, but we'll see. You're on the up and up. Good to hear it, man. Good to hear it, dude. Zach J, what's up, man? Thanks for the $5 super chat. No dice on the sliders. Dang, appreciate the suggestions. We'll continue testing. What's odd is I have the same issue across both sims and only recently. Zachary J, yeah, that's, I'm not sure where to go from there, man. It sounds like you might have something else plaguing you. All right, recording is on. We're going to start slowing up here. Flaps 3, speed checks, flaps 3. I have a strong belief that Moza can make force feedback a unit to attach to the Moza base. Tom H, that's been suggested before, and I feel like there's more technical issues with that than we might see possible. The size of the base, the height of the base, it just seems great in theory. I'm just not 100% sure how it would work out. It would be cool though, no lie, it would be cool. But I think there's going to be some logistical issues with that. Engineering would have to take a hard look. All right, we're 2,000 above. Let's go gear down. Spoilers are armed. Spoilers are armed. Let's go full flaps because I don't think technically we're supposed to be on this approach anyway. We're going full flaps, gear down. All right, almost out of traffic. Land Chile 357 out of 4.4, descending for the RNAV 27, about a 5-mile right base. Almost out of traffic. Speeders armed, gears down. That's what I was trying to say. The speeders are armed. So that CFM is much more raspy. You know, that's what it is. The CFM is an IAE engine with asthma. That's what it sounds like. A CFM engine is an IAE with asthma. If we could combine V1 Spielers and Captain Canada's Throke, it would be fire. Where's the runway? I don't even see the airport yet. Now, I think it's over there. I had a payware in 2020. I don't have a payware in 24 yet. We're going to let the auto thrust do its thing. So remember, I have the turbulence on medium now, and sometimes the auto thrust, depending on the environmentals wind conditions, sometimes the auto thrust gets a little excited. We'll see how it does here. We'll leave it on for the time being. If we want to turn it off, we'll turn it off. We're slowing up to VAP. We're looking good. Balmaceda traffic, Land Chile 357, about a 7-mile final, straight in now to 7. Balmaceda.
Good luck. We are all counting on you.
Roger, roger. Sounds like Slustavo. We'll have to make sure we watch his landing, see if he slews it in. All right, the Fenix flew that to perfection. Absolutely perfect. Let's get some hand flying in. Autopilot's coming off. Whoa, right when I do that, we get a nice little gust of wind. Autopilot's off. Let's go flight directors. Give me the bird. Bird's in chat. We're hand flying now. I'm going to leave the auto thrust on just to see how she behaves. This is the CFM. I haven't flown this in many months, so crosswind died. Now it's mostly a straight-in headwind. Put the flight path vector on the horizon. That's a 3-degree path. I can start to see the pappies now a little bit high, so I'm going to start increasing that descent rate. We're going to deviate below the vertical deviation and get on those pappies out there.
100 above.
I think those pappies are going to be accurate. They seem to be in the right spot. All right, we're 500 feet. We're stable.
Minimum.
Sinking 9. Looking good. Did you guys do the landing checklist? Hopefully did the landing checklist. Too much rudder. Spoilers. That was ugly. That was an ugly one. I thought we had it. We were a little bit too high. Kablamo! They can't all be winners. Nah, we didn't bounce. I don't think we bounced. It was definitely legal. Do we have to do a 180 on the runway here? I think we do. Yeah, we do. Let's go ahead and do that. Looked like my first Airbus landing. I had a little bit too much rudder. See, I'm used to, here's what it is. I'm used to the 2020 dynamics where I gotta really over-exaggerate. That's what it is. In 2024, you don't need to over-exaggerate. You just need to do realistic things. And I didn't do realistic things.
You should talk to your chiropractor.
Blame it on 2020 now? Yeah, okay. A little bit thrust set, yeah. Well, yeah, a little bit. But that might have been my doing with the right aileron. I maybe didn't really need all of it. I got the shakes from Captain Canada in the house. I know, man. I know. We're not going to configure on the runway because we don't want to. We're going to actually do as I say and as I do. We're not going to do it across the on the runway. What I missed? I missed a 20-pounder up there. Who's that from? Eastern T3. My man. Thank you for that super chat. Early Christmas present. Thank you for the streams this year. Flight Sim 2025 is going to be great. How do you program the wind perf page if there's variable? If there's variable, I just put 0.
4 miles final.
Because if it's variable, it's going to be less than 5 knots most likely. So I just put 0. Or you can just put a headwind. Some guys put a tailwind.
Traffic.
I haven't really noticed an issue either way though.
Final. We report back hitting the runway.
Almost had a traffic land. Chile 357 clear, 25 taxi to the gate. 27, whatever the runway is. We got to see Thustavo. He's on about a 3-mile final, so let's just park it in right here. Wow, look at that jet bridge. It's inside of the airport terminal. I need my sceneries for out here. The sceneries out here are actually really good in 2020. Where's Thustavo? Is he on? Is he slewing it in? Yeah, it looks like he's slewing it in over there. I could see him. Look at the ground handling though as we watch Thustavo slew it in. Ooh, that looked like a smasher. There was no flare on that one there either. Now I'm stuck. Look at we skid the nose wheel. Alright, brakes are set. That one looked pretty firm. No, it wasn't butter. Alright, we'll go watch the next guy come in here. Let's see where they're at. He's about ready to make
Runway
the turn.
27 on Balmaceda, vacated with Bill 104.
Can I? Let's walk out there. Let's run out there. We're gonna run across the tarmac. Oh, I can't. I don't have my external view model. Third person view. The flare is in the cloud. Oh, well, let me stop recording, by the way. We gotta run over there. Shift C, Shift C. We left all our lights on, our engine's running. At least the parking brake is set, right? Look at these nice rocks over here. That's a long... So you get a sense for how long the runway is. Are there still some minor problems with taxiing? Tom, taxiing honestly feels is like one of the best improved parts of 2024 in my opinion. Taxiing and being on the ground. Man, that guy sounds loud. I'm gonna have to turn down other aircraft volume. I'm probably wasting time going out here in Shift C view. I should have just gone in drone cam, huh? Taxiing a small GA plane, high winds, 24 sucks. Yeah, well, small plane and winds in 24 kind of suck on in general, A-Rod. Like, especially in career mode when they force you to realistic. Gonna have to shine your shoes. I mean, I just think it'll be cool to see this in like the size perspective, right? Your crosswind inputs do nothing? Oh, really? Well, that sounds like a skill issue. Where's this guy at? Yeah, the Cessna 208 and a 40 knot crosswind was pretty wild. In half speed. Alright. Where's this guy at? Thought he was on final. Should we stand on the runway? Hold on, I got an idea. Let me change my keyboard to 2024 so we can do third person view. But now I can't run. Oh, there he is. I see him.
From the state of traffic, Delta 1459 right, downwind runway 27.
What is the one that we use? Was it my general profile? No. Oh, he's slewing it down already. What's up with this guy slewing it in? Oh,
I didn't flew.
that's a Neo. That's a 321 Neo. Wow, he landed that right on the numbers, and I guess he got off that first taxiway. We blasted through the first taxiway. Is there anybody else on short final? Let me go back to my other controller config here. I have it. It's like I don't have. I only have run bound to one of them. That's interesting. I'm gonna have to rebind that on that other profile. Maybe a nickname podcast. I get kicked out of all the nicknames they have for. Oh yeah. I was gonna see if the taxiway lights were collidable. Who's seen Pushing Tin? You know what's crazy is the sense of width of the runway here is actually pretty good. If you've never walked out on a runway, you'd be amazed at how wide it actually is. AJ is entering the RNAV downwind. All right, we'll stand by. We'll stand by for AJ right here on the markers. We'll stand by for AJ on the markers. Now the only thing I need to do is turn on third person view in this view. Let me see if I can't change that to this profile. What is it? POV? Third person? External? What's it called? So I can do the show body. What? It's called something. Show toolbar. You guys know what I'm saying. What's the binding? I know it's backspace normally, but I was going to bind it to this control profile. I thought it was point of view. No. The view system here while he's on downwind. Oh, no, not external view mode. No, that's not it. Player character, camera, movement. Take control, character person, first person. Cursor, no. Change prompt, search by input, get name. Well, I guess we could do that, yeah. Really?
Almost state of traffic, Delta 1459, 5 mile final, 27.
I guess it is toggle external view. Alright. Here he comes. Let's stay crouched. Now, do we watch it in... wow, that guy's head looks quite large. Thanks, Flight Sim School. For some reason, I thought that was going to snap me right back into the airplane. Does his head look a little bit disproportionate? That's a large head there on that character. Barry Seal is back. AJ is a beam on the RNAV. The Delta isn't AJ. Oh, where's the Delta at? Is he on final? We gotta watch. We're doing a landing challenge here in Balmaceda. That's a 5 head. We're waiting for the next one. We'll eventually watch our replay, I swear. What time is it? 2:30? I gotta get out of here soon anyway. I kind of want to retry that landing too.
For you, looks like my Balder Sida, man.
What? He's 30 miles out. No, we're not going to wait for him all day. AJ, hurry up. Let me check on the map. Let's see how far this guy is. His torso's compressed from that landing? No, it wasn't that hard. Come on. It wasn't that hard. A little off center line. Yeah, there's a Delta. I see a Delta turning base right now. 1459. Oh, and there's a guy on final right there. I got him identified. I don't know if you guys can see him yet. Was one on base, there's one on final. Now the question is, I think we got to stay in first person view. Shall we? Let's stay right here. Oh, this is scary. Let's crouch down. Let's stay right on the edge.
Yeah, I know. I was too busy watching the stream. I'm like, oh, 280, that's nice.
Ooh, that looks like a butter right there. He brought it in low and buttered it on. A three wire. That looked like a butter, but he put it down super early. He put it down way over there. That guy dragged it in. That's cheating. That's cheating. You got to be 50 foot over the numbers. All right, we got one more to come down. One more. You can't stand there, sir. I have special authorization. AJ's on final at 240 knots. All right. Force Raptor, you can see them if you're in 2024 in the same group. So if you're in the same group, you would actually be able to see someone else's avatar or character on the ground. Avatar? Yeah, you'd be able to see him on the ground. That's too funny, man. Does he have like a hearing aids in? What's in his ears? I don't know. Man, they should have just made a freaking Barry Seal avatar. These taxi lights are a little bit too large. Yeah, I don't think they're about... Well, it depends on how tall the avatar is. Nope, nope. What am I trying to do? I'm trying to go over here. I'm trying to get you by the light. There we go. Yeah, that's... It's Timu Tom Cruise. This is the Tom Cruise we have at home. Nicolem, what am I doing? I'm waiting for one more guy to land because this is pretty funny to see this in first person view. Like it's pretty cool, to be honest with you, to see the size of the runway. You really get a sense of how big it is. All right, we're on the... Look at the tire marks. Are these from us? Are these our tire marks? Oh, there he is. Here he comes. Oh, is he going around? Uh-oh. Back up, back up, back up, back up, back up. Here comes the smash. Here comes the smash. Oh, you're supposed to... Ooh, that's a bounce. That's a bounce. That's a bounce. And he's in the dirt. Oh. Oh, he's in the dirt. Oh, he's going around. Wow. Wow. AJ had to go around after he put it in the dirt. Unbelievable. And you guys made fun of my landing. The winds were swirling, I'm telling you. The winds were definitely swirling. All right. That's it, right? Definitely illegal. I'm going to shift C me back to the airplane. Zoom. And we're going to go replay mode. Let's see how we actually did.
Terrain ahead. Pull up.
Yeah. We're going to zoom it forward. Oh, didn't want to do that. Didn't want to do that.
Too
Come
low.
back.
Terrain.
We got to let it. We got to let things load in. We got to get the flaps out. We got to get the parking brake off. That's not the right keyboard binding for the airplane. I need to go back to my normal one. Alright, let's see what we did here. Wait, is that a condensation effect? Oh, that's just a... What is that? No. That's like a weird shadow thing happening. Right? Maybe that was firmer than I thought. See, I look, I had it corrected perfectly. Oh, but yeah, you see it drifting into the wind? It's still plaguing us a little bit. So watch this. That's actually a really good angle. So decrab, and then, well, I had a little bit of right aileron. Oh, but yeah, see how it's still wanting to drift into the wind a little bit? That's interesting. Just a little bit of extra drift. And I've got right aileron though, but yeah, way too much rudder. But see, once you touch down though, you don't slide. You don't slide. I got an idea though. Let's try this. Let's go back inside here. Let's try it again. Let's give ourselves a mulligan on that. Let's just C for testing. Same winds. I'm going to stop the replay. All right, we're live. I have control, right? Yes, I have control. Let's get the manual thrust levers. I'll turn you off because I don't need you right now. Let's try a mulligan here. FSX tier reflections. It was the CFMs. I think the IAE has a better flight model. How much more difficult is the decrab in the sim versus real life? As far as difficulty goes, I mean, it's not... I wouldn't say it's more difficult in real life. It's more intuitive in real life. In the sim, it's completely bass-ackwards because if the wind is from the right, the airplane is going to blow to the left. So in real life, you need right aileron to keep the wing down and keep you tracking over the center line. In sim world, it likes to drift into the wind, so you almost have to use zero aileron or opposite aileron to the left, which is not realistic. But what's interesting is we landed this puppy in a 30-knot crosswind, and we didn't have that issue. So I'm wondering if it was maybe it doesn't want. I don't know. Let's just see here. Let's see. But yeah, real life is much more intuitive. because physics apply. So we have, it's just an ever so slight crosswind right now. So it's trying to weather vane. I think the problem is the weather vaning versus the aircraft. So there we go, roll it out. See how it wants to go. See, I have to give it a little left aileron, see how it wants to drift that way. So, yeah. I'm just testing that out. Let's bring it in real close. Let's bring it in right here. Let's try that again. I'm gonna see if I could demonstrate. So we're on speed. Might have been too short. So I'm gonna use 0 aileron correction. I'm just gonna use rudder. So 0 aileron. I know. Now see how we're slightly starting to drift to the right? Well, the winds are swirling. I don't know. I mean, I assumed it was harder in the sim because you don't have that feel. Oh, yeah, you could definitely say that because you can't feel your lateral position in space shifting. You know, you feel it in the butt of your seat, right? When you're flying it for real. Okay, a little bit more power. There we go. A little bit. Now we're getting a little replay wonky here. I'm also trying to judge this flare here. So decrab. But yeah, see when I decrab, you see how we're going right? I'm just trying to hold it. See how we're literally, well now it's the winds are from the left. I'm curious. The winds seem pretty swirly at the ground, which is causing some interesting issues. Where's wind visualization? I know AJ's been crazy about this. Winds are 255 at 11 over the numbers. Yeah, there's a big change of wind. How can I turn on wind visualization? I'm curious if we can see that anywhere. Realism. AJ, where is your wind visualization? Effects and animation. Is it not an option? I thought it was an option. Alright, we'll go back. We'll be back and resume. So, yeah, that's interesting, though, is that wind shift. Oh, maybe in developer mode. It's got to be in dev mode, you're right. Where does one go to dev mode? Advanced. Legal. Graphics, assistances, controls, accessibility. Advanced at the top. Developer mode on. Okay. Just set up a keybind for CFD. Windshield rain. Is it under debug? Where's AJ when you need him? CFD is just for thermals. But CFD, that's just for toggles. Or, sorry, that's just for thermals, I thought, too. I don't think there is a wind visualization. Oh, what's this? Hold on, I gotta check something over here. You guys, if you don't have an answer for me, I'll just Alt F for it. I'm trying to look up something else real quick. Schedule potential. Nope, where you gone? Debug weather. Wind simulation voxel? What? No, that ain't. That's not what we're looking for. Slustava doesn't know what he's talking about. General Flight Interface, CFD. I don't see anything. Oh wait, we have manual thrust. Alt F5 or Alt 5? Well, I don't see anything with Alt 5. Wind is invisible. Yeah, I don't know what you guys are talking about. I've never seen like a wind visualization. I mean, it might be coming off that slope to the left, but if you look at, you can see it's there's our windsock. Don't look, they're all saboteurs. Control Alt 6 does nothing. Nope. You're all a bunch of liars. You're all a bunch of liars. We're gonna exit dead mode. I'm done with you. I'm done with all of you. You're all liars. Every single one of you. Every single one of you are saboteurs. How do I turn off dead mode now? Done with dev mode. You're all dead to me. You're all dead to me. And I also want to turn off CFD. Whatever that does is not doing what it's supposed to be doing. That's dead to me. You're all dead to me. You're all saboteurs going into replay mode. And just because y'all pissed me off, we're not doing a second leg. Because you're all a bunch of liars. All right. That's it. We're out of here. CFD is only for thermal, doesn't show the wind. Well, that's what I thought too. We've turned the thermals on before. We've looked at thermals and stuff. Inconclusive. Inconclusive. We have inconclusive evidence. You can't read and refuse to put the right settings. Well, I said, I already tried. I did your wind, I did your little debug thing, I did your other thing, atmospheric airflow and wind arrow. Nah, doesn't work, man. Doesn't work, Gus. Tried it all, man. Tried it all. Debug weather, debug atmospheric airflow. Now, you show me screenshots of it working on your sim, and then I'll do it. And I'll do it. Alright. We'll watch this landing. It's still inconclusive. I think the results were inconclusive on this landing. Canadian, I'm ignoring. Is fuel dumping modeled? No. No, it's not modeled. There's no fuel dump on a 320 series. So. All right. enough of this airliner flying. Back to where the real fun is, flying the 172 around in career mode. All right, y'all. Thank you all for the support. Enjoy the final RNAV approach. Slustavo, nice smasher. AJ, try to land it on the runway next time, and we'll do some more. We're still going to do some more investigating in flight model stuff in the coming days. So I've got some other stuff lined up for you. Y'all have been awesome. Thank you for the support. I'll catch you on the next one. Stay safe. Stay healthy. I'm V1. See you. That's what I've been saying the whole time, Anger Nerve. It's not going to work on the Phoenix because it's external. It's only a bounce if both wheels come off the ground.